welcome, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being on our coffee talk today. I'm really excited to just chat with you and talk about SEO. I think a lot of listeners are going to be really excited to hear your story. When I heard your story, I was actually really impressed with results that you had achieved. And, all the time we see these ads and we see emails coming through that say, SEO work, get to the top page of Google, get to #1 in your Google rankings. We can help you. We can help you. And even myself as an agency, I get bombarded with these on a regular basis. So it's really great to find someone who's had some real concrete SEO success. And that's really what I want to talk about today. And I also want to talk about red flags that other companies might be seeing with agencies that are approaching them, telling them that they're going to get them these amazing results, and then, sort of what to look for so that you're basically not taken advantage of. And some of your story, we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So what we'll cover today is when you're getting your SEO work done, is it actually being done, or it's kind of some type of work where it's really hard to measure that and it's hard to see the back end. Are the results there? And if you don't really understand SEO, how do we maybe help people that are watching today know what to look for with their improved rankings? So let me back up a bit though and introduce you. Jonathan Serafinchin, founder of Encore Painting. They are professional home painters in the GTA and also voted one of Canada's top painting and decorating companies for 5 years in a row as voted by Home Stars. So really excited to have you on the show today. And I welcome you. And I'm really excited to just have a little chat. So one of the things I think that would interest our audience today is if you could just spend a little bit of time telling me what I consider your success story and how you went from, where you were, let's say 10 years ago and where you are now with Encore Painters.
Yeah. That's where to start, right?
Yeah.
Well, 10 years ago, definitely very, very organic, very grassroots marketing, signs on lawns, kids knocking on doors, and a lot of it was just the word of mouth growth. So that was great. And that was 10, maybe 15% growth every year and not much money invested. I think every year when we look back, it'd be, less than 0.5% of our gross would be put into marketing. And that was, for replacing signs or paying some kids to knock on doors. As the company grew and kept growing, we realized that, online would have been the strategy to go. We obviously invested a lot of time and effort into making sure online reviews were up to par for customers who were doing some research on us. So HomeStars was fantastic and gave us the real stepping stone into realizing there was a market there, which then led us to looking at the full spectrum of all of our marketing, niches and realizing that Google and SEO in general was just underutilized at 10% and started to invest in there. And also I have gone the red flag route because we definitely have had a few people come in and say, well, we'll take you to the top. And obviously we'll talk about that more later, but the common theme is, well, you won't see results for 6 months. And, you're right. You don't know what's happening in the back end and you just kind of sit there and wait and then nothing happens. And after a while you just have to switch teams. So.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'll tell you, I hear that a lot with clients that I work with. They'll tell me the same story. So, well, we had an SEO person working on our account and we just didn't get the results, or we got the results at first and then, nothing happened, and we were still paying for it, or we never really received information that really showed us that our rankings had improved. So it's, not just you, it's a lot of other clients out there. And that's why I wanted to host this topic as a topic, because I felt like it's becoming more and more, and you don't want to be taken advantage of either. And I think that's starting to happen more than people realize. So that's why I kind of want to talk about some of the things that you did that really did end up with these positive results. So I'm going to back up a little bit though, and tell me a little bit now about Encore Painting. I think when we had talked before, 40 employees, 40, 45, like just to give a bit of background, because you're a large painting company, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are 40 painters. We're 6 managers. There's myself, the founder. And then we have several sort of sub employees, which, handle either our digital marketing or our SEO. There's a few others in there also as some assistants. So that sort of encompasses the staff side of things. In terms of the production, we this last year painted 800 very high-end homes across Toronto.
That's crazy.
So
Yeah.
so we definitely can put a good dent in the painting industry in Toronto, which is quite nice. So
Yeah, and I know the competition's really tough. So when you started to look at your SEO, and we'll talk about Google Ads as well, but I'm going to focus more on SEO to start. I don't think you were painting 800 houses in the course of, a season or a year, right? It was probably a lot less than that. And I think that I want to go into a little bit more detail about, we'll talk about Arshdeep because, he is kind of important to this story. And Arshdeep works for you and he works for myself in creating some unbelievable success with backlink building primarily, as well as regular SEO on the site. And, obviously what the goal was to somehow stand out in that crowd of Toronto painters, which had a lot of competitive search results when people would type in Toronto painters. So, that how do we get to the top of the page? And your result, from what I understand, and again, correct me if I don't have all the facts correct, but you were getting 5% of your leads through Google prior to implementing this strategy. And now you're getting, and we'll talk about Homestar separate, but now you're getting 45% of your leads, through organic and paid ads. Maybe if you could break out for me a little bit of the percentage that is attributed to that SEO and that organic that you built up, and the percentage roughly that's attributed to the ad portion.
Yeah, I always fluctuating. Obviously the nice thing about Google Ads is it's like a light switch. You can turn on and turn it off. So right now we have it off because we're in a low season, and we have found that it's more painters looking for work than it is customers looking for work. But I think on average, our Google Ads of the 40% probably equate to about 10, maybe 15%. And then the rest is carried by SEO.
And with the SEO work that you had done when you started, you told me that Arshdeep had said to you, well, it would take about 6 months for you to really start seeing some of those top keywords and for you to rank up really high on the page. And tell me a bit about, was it 6 months? Was it faster than that? Like, how quickly were you able to see really strong results that actually attributed to increased leads and sales?
Yeah. So we started seeing results 3 months in. And I, like I said earlier, like we've dealt with other companies that say 6 months, and you're sitting on your hands for 8 months plus, and they're saying, oh yeah, we're getting traction, we're going in the right direction. And it wasn't feeling that way. So I know I was a little bit harsh on Arsh at the beginning, in the first 3 months, because you can't tell if you're going in the right direction or not. But amazingly enough, after 3 months, I did start to see it, and I was very impressed. And I was hoping it wasn't just a blip on the radar. But month 4, month 5, month 6, we were there, which is neat. And not just the analytics that he was showing me. I think it's SEMrush that produces out some of these stats. But actually just making sure I was doing my own due diligence and typing in Toronto home painters or Toronto painting companies and seeing where we were showing up. And then on top of that, we also track all of our own analytics through our own CRM. And that was showing up also as Google. And it just, a very proud moment for myself, because I feel like I'd failed so many times that it felt nice finally, where you go, okay, I think we're going in the right direction.
Oh, I see. And that's awesome. And I love to hear that. And, Arshdeep, is, again, he works for you, he works for me. And we have also another team, and you have a team that continually works on the SEO. So it's not just one individual, right? Someone's working on backlink building, someone's working on all the other, SEO portions of the website. So it's kind of, and it's not just the website as well. We know it's also reviews, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but making sure that you're building that whole strategy up. And, you touched on it, but I'd love to hear a bit about some of the things that weren't working and what you kind of faced with, other problems with starting SEO strategies. And I know we talked about those before too, when you and I have had some discussions. So just tell me a little bit about some of the red flags and things that happened before you started to see the results.
Yeah, that was tough for me because I don't know a lot about what happens in the back end. So I think really what it just looks like for my landscape is if I can't find us on Google, then it's not working. Um, so I think it's just a matter of not seeing results, not finding us, and that was really our red flags. So
And I talked to Arshdeep briefly about it, and I said, what was the first thing that you saw that was a red flag for you that other companies had come in and said that they were doing this work? And right off the bat, he's a very matter of fact individual. He said, load time on the website. That's the number one thing that I fix as soon as I start to make improvements. And the load time was still so slow on that website. So that was the first thing I fixed. And then he said, file sizes. So, taking those file sizes down, whether it's photos or large files that, cause the site to load really slowly. He goes, I fixed that. And then, the front and back facing issues, which could have been, meta descriptions and meta titles and all those things and headers that weren't properly set up. So he, said the same thing to me. And I guess there's a part of me that gets really frustrated when someone else says that they're doing that and they're just not doing it. So that's why, and I don't have the solution on how you find the perfect, company to do it, but you can take a little bit of this in your own hands and run some SEMrush reports, right? Load speed on your site. That one there's tools all over that you can do a quick load speed on your site, and it'll come up and it'll give you a big red and tell you that your site's loading, in 8 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever it is. And right off the bat, if you see that and you've hired someone to do SEO on your site, they haven't started with that fundamental first step. So those are some of the things that I've learned over the years, that if those aren't being done, and those are things that anyone can take a look at, you can, find out what your load speed is, then that the work really hasn't been done the way it should be, because those are some of your first steps in setting up that SEO. So then after that, tell me a little bit, not just about the statistics and the reports, but just how did you see leads coming in? Like, did you actually start to see the phone ringing more? Or tell me a bit about that.
yeah, through a few avenues, for sure. The phone ringing, absolutely. Generally, people are doing all the contact us through our contact page on the website, so that definitely started blowing up. We do find also that people will kind of bounce around a little bit. They will check out our website through SEO, and then from there also check out our Instagram, and then maybe message for Instagram. So unfortunately for our office staff, it's constantly figuring out where they're getting their leads from, and making sure that obviously everything gets put in the CRM, but constantly checking all the different sources. But yes, absolutely blowing up and in the best possible way.
Oh, that's excellent. So, I mean, that's not a bad problem to have if somebody's sending you a Facebook message, an Instagram DM, an email. Like, that's not a contact form completion, phone calls. I think that's a great problem to have. And I think that actually leads to a really small point, is you also probably had to work on that customer journey. So making sure somebody was checking Instagram messages, right? Making sure that somebody was always putting that information in a CRM so that there was follow-up all the time. So it probably forced you, I'm assuming, to jump into, well, we better make sure that this customer journey is flowing and we're not losing leads that are actually taking the time to reach out to us.
Absolutely. Which, funny enough, that was one of the things we've added, where all the managers previously were in charge of dealing with the different lead sources. And then this year was getting to be too much. So we actually hired an office manager, and she has saved everybody's life. She is our glue. So yes, she is now in charge of all the avenues of leads.
Yeah, which is just great, right? Because otherwise, it's one thing to get people to come and fill out all these forms, but I have heard stories where all of a sudden your SEO is strong and you're really realizing that the Google ads are starting to really work for you, and there's no one to follow up on the lead. So it's a good problem to have, but you have to make sure that somebody's, walking through that customer journey and making sure the customer is taken care of.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
My next question then is, so you spent this time on updating the SEO. Now, is this something that I know that, Arshdeep is still working with you and you've also got a team now, but maybe just tell people that are listening, what is your opinion on ongoing SEO? Because for sure you start to really, see it up front, but what's your take on that now? Keep doing it, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Keep doing it. And Arsh is continuing with backlinks, which is great. And then the discussions that we've had as well is, we can't just keep doing backlinks because Google will see what we're doing and slow us down. So we're now working on press releases, which is fantastic. So our blog writer and our digital media person are actually working together and really putting some good press releases together, and then Arsh is putting them out. So that in conjunction with the backlinks has been fantastic. And then as well, Arsh also, we have our blog writer. So Arsh has made sure that, here are the keywords, here's the volume coming in from keywords. So here's what we're really going to target in terms of, obviously not keyword cramming, but making sure that we are getting those keywords into the blogs as authentically as we can.
Yeah, and that's something that Arshdeep's doing for us as well, and for my clients is he's helping with the blog writing. So he's not writing, but again, we have writers, you have writers, getting those keywords into those blogs. And then he does do some type of, he has a structure where he submits them to different platforms that pick up those. And I don't even like to call them blogs, because in his case, they're almost articles, right? Interesting articles that he sends out to different platforms, and then they share it, they pick it up, and it becomes just engaging content for a lot of different platforms that he sends it out to. And that's our next strategy for Shout. And also a strategy that we're doing for our clients. So it goes beyond just working in the back end of the website, right? It's a big, it's an ongoing sort of pot that you're continually stirring, and you're adding pieces as you go. And, the link building, exactly. We've had so much success with the link building, but you're right. Now we're just making sure that we're still putting out some good content, and that we're getting those blogs written for our clients and for ourselves as well, because they're just as important as the backlink building or, the front and back end SEO. So
absolutely.
Now, a couple more questions. So you're still doing the ongoing SEO, and that's, working really well. Tell me a bit about your Google Ads strategy. So, you still have to, it's like you said, sort of like the flame to the fire, right? You still have to continue to light that up, but give me an idea of what you're doing with your Google Ads, understanding that your organic SEO is so strong. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so that has some level of seasonality to it, which we've learned with the ebbs and flows of seasons, when to turn it on, when to turn it off, when to get very specific. So obviously in winter time, it is more painters looking for work. We have found that, a strategy of specifically saying condo painting seems to be not as attracting, not attracting as many people looking for work, but definitely looking for the younger group that own condos that are looking for work or that are looking for painting. And as well, it is interior, which we live in a country of snow. So we very much focus on that. Once we start getting into the spring season, though, obviously the focus is exterior. So we turn that one on. We do find that we get very booked up quickly on that one. So that would be one campaign that we might run for 3 to 4 months, and then we turn it off because we're just overloaded. Everything else from there just comes in organically, either from organic SEO or just the fact that we've got a good name out there. So yeah, definitely the ebbs and flows of Google Ads is great with that sort of light switch ability.
Yeah, and I think that we've established that it's, both. You have to have both. So you can continue to do your SEO and, get those organic results, but you still have to run your Google Ads. And sometimes I do run across this with clients and say, well, once we get, to the first page of Google, we're going to be fine. But, there could be new products that you haven't had out there before where you're not searchable under those new products or services. It could be, so many different things. It could just be that, rankings ebb and flow, and all of a sudden you need a little bit of that fire to move you back up again. Or there's new competitors out there that weren't out there before, and you want to do a little bit of competitor, advertising. So there's different reasons why you want to continue to run those Google Ads as well. And one last thing too is a little bit, if you could elaborate a bit on how you built a bit of a niche with Encore. So you had told me that you had really focused on niche painting with realtors, agents, stagers, designers, you really focused on that. And you said that was so successful for you. And I know it's a little bit outside of the SEO scope, but I was really interested in that. So I just wanted to touch base on that. Maybe just tell me a little bit about that and how that really helped grow your business.
Yeah, I think it sort of just happened accidentally at the beginning, where we were going after like homeowners, and then agents are coming in and stagers and designers kind of just start interacting with us a little bit more because we're all working in the same space, and realize that this becomes a beautiful repeat business model, and that became very attractive, and that was all part of the organic. Growing the business organically was just getting in touch with the right people that we knew that, one agent might get, 1 or 2 houses a year. And we have other agents that every week they're giving us 1 or 2 projects. So the agents have been fantastic. We love working with designers just because, one, the repeat business, but also just the amount of learning that goes into it. For us as painters, we're just putting color on wall. It's neat to actually work with people that really know colors, and then you start learning the jargon and the what works where, and sort of that aspect of it. In stagers, it's just kind of neat because for us, they make us look fantastic. We put color on the wall, and then they put all the beautiful furniture in, and then we get to take the wonderful after photos. And sometimes people don't even see the paint; they just see the room transformation, and that is only partially us. So,
and also, it's great to paint a room, but sometimes, you've got to have all that staging and everything just to really have those colors pop. So having those realtors and those, designers on board as your, promoters as well, using you as their referral basis, right? I think that's really something that was really smart that you had done. And, you had touched on that when we talked last, and I just thought that was really interesting because I think how you've grown this business in such a short time, it really hasn't been that long. Like I'd say, I think it was about like the last 10 years that things really took off for you, which, in the scope of a business isn't, it's not 35 years, right? It's 10 solid years of growing that business and something that you should be really proud of because, as a business person myself, that's a short period of time to do a lot of this growth. So, commend you for that. My last question, absolutely my last question. We haven't talked about reputation management. And if you go on your Google My Business page, you have over 100 4.8 star reviews. And I won't get too much into the home star reviews as well, because that's kind of not what we're talking about today. But with the Google reviews, to get that 4.8 star with over 100 reviews, can you just really quickly tell me a little bit about how you were able to do that? Because a lot of clients are always looking for that. How do we get our reviews up? How do you get our reviews up? And it's easy for an e-commerce company to throw in a Trustpilot, app or plugin or something like that. But I feel like it was more grassroots for you. So tell me a little bit about how you were able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the simple solution with that is just asking customers when we're done a job if they would give us a review. And for us, one of the things that maybe other companies want to do, but we have looked at the amount of money that we put into SEO and all our different forms of marketing. But one of the things that we realized is actually to put a little bit of money in thanking our customers, that would hopefully actually net promote us. And so the Google reviews was an important one for us. And so we always tell customers if they were to give us a Google review, we'll actually send them a Starbucks gift card.
Awesome.
And we're quick to do that. So, we know who the manager is on those job sites. And when the Google review comes in, we will send out that card just saying, how much we appreciated. So it is mentioned, and it's not, obviously, we don't get aggressive with 100 reviews is nice, but it's not a massive amount. But something we're obviously working on. But it is nice to say thank you for them taking the time. So it's presented at the beginning,
and it's easier for certain companies to get Google reviews, I find. But sometimes companies that are more like the contractor space, it's more difficult because you've got, your people out in the field and they're a little reluctant to say, okay, there's a little bit of a comfort level sometimes with asking for reviews. So I still think it's commendable. But what's maybe more commendable is the 4.8 star rating, right? You can't really get much better than that because, you're always going to have the odd review that is, we all get, the 1 or 2 that are a little bit, something is out of our hands, but that rating being so high is also commendable. So I think, what I think like to wrap up with is that I think that you've done such a good job with putting all the pieces together and understanding how important they are. And I won't ask you specifically, but if you could kind of give a percentage of what you think companies should be spending, like yours, on digital marketing, and again, a range of, a percentage to a percentage, I'd be curious if you kind of have a rough idea, because I still think a lot of companies budget for what they should be spending on that when you include SEO, Google ads, and all these other tactics that you're using.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work on our marketing budget every year, and we always review our previous marketing budgets to see where we think went well. 5% is what we're now working up to for the last several years. And of that 5%, we have now shifted that we will be putting about 2% of that into Google AdWords and SEO.
Awesome.
The other 2% go to Homestars, and then the other 1% are spread out amongst the other smaller little campaigns that we have.
Yeah, so it's not an insane amount, but it's also, a very decent amount. And I think it's really important because investing and holding true, right? And I think that's my last point is you could have easily said, oh, we've been working with these companies and we're not getting results, right? Those red flags again, like we worked with this organization, we didn't get up on our Google rankings and our searches didn't improve. And you could have got frustrated and you could have said, oh, you know what, I'm done. We're not doing this anymore. And I think if you would have done that, you wouldn't be where you are and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I think maybe the last point is, you really need to find some organization or individual that can really help you, that is true to their word, where they can work with you, showing you the results. I know Arshdeep is great for saying, okay, here's where you were, here's where you are now. And it makes it very easy to understand. So if the company that you're working with isn't doing that for you and isn't giving you and showing you concrete results, then I think you've got to maybe, eliminate that company and move on to somebody who actually is going to do what happened with you and get you those results.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, that's all I wanted to talk about today. I think that was like a good, solid discussion. I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add to the conversation today, but I think it was really interesting because I consider it such a success story. And I guess it's because I have seen a lot of companies that weren't successful with using different companies for their SEO. And I love the fact that we're starting to really see results for our clients. I think we're doing a great job with understanding now a lot more of that big SEO picture because it is confusing for some. And I guess I don't like when I do see some people get taken advantage of. So that's why I wanted to have this chat today.
Yeah, no, it's been quite enjoyable. So thank you for having me.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. Hopefully we'll talk again soon. And thanks so much for coming and talking with us today.